millions of white children my age, we were conscripted into the Rhodesian army. And I wrote a book. My first book got me into trouble with the Zimbabwean government because I mentioned that they were terrorists and guerrillas. And had I had put freedom fighters in that book, I would have kept my passport, which they took away from me in 1985.
You were not able to ever go back after that?
Well, 1985, couldn't go back until 1992. There was a historic game that I played for Zimbabwe against South Africa in Harare. And the authorities of Zimbabwe gave my passport back because I was born in South Africa, but lived all my life in Rhodesia and Zimbabwe. And they thought I might go and play for South Africa.
But so you were on the other side to Robert Mugabe and the war veterans.
Yes.
And you fought against them.
Conscription says you get told where to go in the army. In the army, you do not...
It was national service, right? You had no choice. Yeah.
No choice. You must understand that I played football in Rhodesia. I played for the African teams. I know the culture. I know the races and how they think. And yes, I thought at the time it was a stupid war. It could have been done around the negotiating table.
Rhodesia was gripped with racism, wasn't it, when you were growing up there? And at the time, the white rulers were the ones running the show. Mugabe comes along and, in his eyes and his followers' eyes, redresses the balance. You know, gives black people in Rhodesia and then Zimbabwe power again. Do you see the double-edged side to Mugabe? I mean, are you able to look at it dispassionately like that?
I've seen the double-edged side all along, from
both
white
sides.
rule
Yeah.
and into black rule. But you must understand that the normal people in Zimbabwe, black and white, they are very, very harmonious and very, very much together. You know, we were very shocked when we saw Robert Mugabe probably drop the piece of paper that said he was going to
He might
resign.
have done that, right? I mean,
He could have. You do not know. His wife has been behind his transformation into what he is today. She is 40 years his junior. So,
And tipped to take over.
Yes.
You know, a family dynasty where they hold their grip on power in Zimbabwe in perpetuity.
And you must understand, I believe that the army came in there and they said they were going to get rid of criminal elements around Mugabe and Mugabe's family. That must have been Mrs. Mugabe, the youth movement that she created, plus the police. Because when if you want to have an insight on it, Zimbabweans, the power to be with the army and the air force came in, told the police to stand down.
Yeah.
And all the criminal elements, there was no criminality anyway in the 3 days of a celebration. There was nothing happening. The police were the ones that are stealing the money from everybody.
there's been a lot of corruption here. What was very interesting, Bruce, I felt about your kind of transition, or your journey, if you like, through that period of your younger life. Football played a very big role because you ended up playing for a predominantly black team called the Highlanders. And that changed your view, didn't it, significantly, about the race debate? Because you've been brought up, really, like all white people in Rhodesia at the time, to think that the white people were the superior race.
Absolutely. I was the only white player in a national team in the end for Zimbabwe. Playing for the Africans, you found out their culture. And playing against the other tribes, which is the Shona tribes, you know their culture as well. I still have quite close companies in Zimbabwe. I send kit over to a little place called Chitingwiza, and we still have that from Canada. I live in Canada, reside in Canada. I know the people around the world will be looking at this as very, very interestingly, and it looks like the old leader is going to be impeached.